Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And we're going to do part 2 of the B2 joypod build. I had a few issues, but I think we can overcome the issues. But all in all, the parts fit pretty decent. But we're just going to do the head today. We're not going to put no legs on it because I don't have all the parts for it yet. They're still on the printer. So I just had to run another tray, which makes my 6th tray on the 3D printer, or 6 build plates of parts. A lot of parts. And I had to go and print some extra stuff where I had made a mistake. Like, for instance, in the end here of the block, I had these where the legs are going to go in there like that, and they go in at an angle, and you can see the top of it right there at the corner. So it goes in about that far. Well, as you can see, I misjudged some calculations somehow. I don't know how I done that, but I had to print out a 4mm L channel that long to put in there, and I'll mount that to these, and that will give me my squeeze plate. I also got these things. Of course, I had to 3D print another one. Well, here's one. One of these that goes in there. Now the one that goes in the base, it's longer. So this is just a cap for the other end, and it goes in the base that holds the other leg. But anyway, it's all up here. I can't get it out there very good. But I'm going to put you down here, and we're going to see if we can put this thing together and do the adjustments on it and see what we got, see how far we got with it. Alright, so we got the block here, and I got everything nice and clean in it. No burrs, everything's nice and pretty. And eventually I'll paint that logo like I do my badges. And then I gotta get, I gotta wait for the legs to be ready before I can put my set screws in. I've already drilled and tapped these, or tapped them. All these are tapped. All these are tapped. And then we have this block that slides back and forth. So it goes in there just like that and slides back and forth. Something don't sound right on this. Sounds like it's hollow somewhere. Alright, so this here slides back and forth. It's a little tight for some reason now. It wasn't that tight before. Alright, so there we got that sliding back and forth. Alright, so then we need to find a way to move it up and down. So this will slide into this one, and this one goes up and down like that. Alright, so I'm going to put a little bit of grease, and I'm using 100% silicone grease, and I'm almost out. I'm wondering if bearing grease wouldn't work, but it seems to work just fine without it, so I'm only going to grease the bearings. If we find we need to, then we will. But everything fits pretty tolerant, or nice and tight, and I'm afraid grease is going to make it worse instead of better, because we want that to be a nice smooth action in there. So then that goes in there like that. But before we do that, we got to put our bearing in here. So I made a cap that goes in there. This side is chamfered bigger as far as I wanted to go. I wanted to leave the same amount of meat around them holes. And then this side is beveled for the bearing. So then the bearing is that bad boy right there. And it's round, as you can see. And I just set that in place. Then I'll put the cap in, make sure I got the right side down. Alright, so then I got 1032 screws that goes through the whole base, and the heads will be below this surface. I've been having some problems with my camera here lately, my GoPro, and I can't be having that happen, man. I need that camera, and it's the best camera I've had. So I went to do a video on showing Dancer, my deer out back that I feed. Now I just barely screw that in, but for some reason I went to go look at the screen, and it done it on that video I did the last time when I showed the parts on the printers printing. The last video I did, part of that, one of them pieces of video was missing, and that's why I had to skip from me talking. I didn't even get the word print out. For some reason it stopped right there. So I looked at the screen and it was flickering, and then when I went to turn the record off, it wouldn't turn off. So I'm kind of concerned about my GoPro now. Alright, so then we take, this is the shifter, and this is a bearing hole back here. Well, something ain't right. What the hell's wrong? That's not right. I don't think. Yeah, maybe it is. Alright, and then I made another one that's got a bevel on it. Actually, I really only need the cap. You know what, I'm putting it together wrong for one thing. Alright, so now we've got that tight, the bearing cap, and it's got a smooth feel to it, and I just barely tighten them. And this is how you adjust it too. So if you want to make it stiffer, you just kind of loosen these or tighten these up a little more, or if you want to loosen it, you just loosen the screws. Alright, so it just depends on the person. Alright, and it's nice and smooth. So now that slides into this part. I don't remember which way it goes. I think it's that way. Nope, I believe I got it upside down. Alright, so then that slides down into this track down here. Alright. So then we got a door. Where'd I put it? Oh. So then we got a door that's got a groove on the bottom of it that acts as a track for this. So but I don't think I have it right. Something ain't right here. This thing goes a certain way. One side's lower than the other, so I'm not sure. That seems to be the right way right there. Yep, that's the right way right there. Takes a little finagling, but so then this goes in this groove right here, but it doesn't go past this bracket here because this piece here has to be able to slide down so you can get your full travel. Alright, so then I'm just going to put 2 screws in it because I got to take it back apart, so I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Alright, so then this plate goes on. Well, if I can hit the hole. Alright, so then we can go ahead and stick our rod in there. Well, before I do that, matter of fact, I'm not going to waste this grease yet because I'll have to take this thing back apart. So then that slides in and goes into the bearing cap because half the bearing race is in the housing. The other half is in this side. So then this goes down on there, but if I tighten it down like that, it'd be too tight. So I had to make this bush, or this gasket for it, and then I made a cap for it that has my logo on it just to cover that. So these are, I got to get some more screws. These here are the ones I have to use for now just to put it together. I didn't have any long enough, and these were too long, so I'm either going to have to cut these down. I'd rather actually have this kind of head on it because I think that would look a whole lot better. But I mean, I could have made this plate bigger, but you can't go past this right here because then it won't slide. So oh, it's hanging up on that thread. That's what was going on. And if you can't slide that back and forth, then you got one of these into it. So I got to cut these shorter. But this is just for demonstration purposes. So don't give me too much grief. Alright, and then I'll just tighten these nuts down. Alright, so now that slides back and forth with no problem. Actually, yeah, that don't go past the point it's supposed to go. And there you go. So this here can be adjusted with these screws in here. So you just take and pull that down, tighten that one down a little bit. Then go to the next one. But I don't know how hard that has to be, but it can be harder or softer. So it just depends on how much this weighs. So then I made this rod out of a tailgate rod that goes inside my tailgate, because they had to send me another kit because they was missing parts out of it, so they just sent me another kit. Well, this rod was in it, and I just decided to cut it down to about 13 inches, and I threaded this. Well, this side was already threaded, and then I went and made this knurled knob, and that's just going to act as a jam nut. So, and then this side happened to be one of my cocking knobs for a gun I took one off of and replaced it with one of mine. And that worked perfect because it matches it, it looks like it, and that'll work. So then we take and thread this in. And then we take a jam nut and tighten it down. So let's say that's sitting there on its stand. You know, you got all your adjustment here. You got that much adjustment. Alright, so right now I'm working on the top plate. I'm making a new top plate for it because I want it to be a screw plate, basically. So basically all I did was just peppered a bunch of screw holes all across this and made some parts that matches those holes. So basically I'm making a set of jaws that will mount on both sides with 2 screws in 2 different locations. And then I've got it threaded for the pick rail. So that'll mount on there. I know I threaded that. Did I not? I must not have threaded it. Let's just thread it. If I can find my threader. So let's just thread that. I thought I had it threaded. I guess I didn't. So you get to see me threading my parts. And then while I'm threading it, I'll take my finger on the other side and knock the pieces that come off of it so they don't stick in the tap. Because this stuff gets gummy and sticky into the tap and will stick to the inside of the tap and then flutes. And I'll tap all mine 1032 because that's the most common I have here. Alright, so then we'll chamfer those a little bit. I think this will make that guy a nice joypod. So now we'll go ahead and put that on. Alright, so then I've got some roller standoffs. These here are just temporary. These were thumb screws that I had made for different stuff, for like my magazine holders. But for the time being, I decided to just use those as a reference. So let's see which way this goes. And there we go. Now I'll go ahead and tighten these bearings up a little bit more. and never got it. So there you got your adjustments. So that should conclude the body of this. Now I'll show you that plate that I was talking about that I made for the top, and the parts that I made for this. I'm just making an L channel that's going to screw onto this on both sides, or on one side of each one of these, and those will be the ones that slides up in here, and that piece that I made will slide in here, and then the set screws will go in against it. So that way it can be taken apart and put in a box. I've got to change these screws. I got to make a set. So there it is. The body done. And I put on the side of it B2. That's Bison 2 joypod. And then the Bison logo, I got to paint that. And this is going to be sweet. Then I got to replace some screws. So I hope y'all got something out of this. Now I got this idea from another YouTuber, and I'll put a link to his video so you can see what he did. And I think his is a little smaller than mine. He glued his bearing caps in. I've got bearing caps that actually screws on, and I'm probably just going to give him this shim to keep with it. It really didn't need one inside because it was too tight anyway, and we don't want that to be tight. We want it to move. So this is a big project, guys, and my back is letting me know that it's a big project. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that. Don't forget to have your Trump coffee, and y'all have a good one. Later.